The bold and cold bloody harvest in China will become even bloodier if nothing is done to stop this brutal crime of organ harvesting that has bruised the hearts of many Falun Gong practitioners. Imagine being arrested and abused and sent to a labor camp because of your religious beliefs and practices. You live in fear of becoming heartless, losing your liver and lungs, and being killed after your kidneys are knocked out. Many Falun Gong practitioners have suffered like this, and Min Jin is lucky to have survived this horrific nightmare. Min Jin spent a year and 6 months at a labor camp in China. She was arrested along with several other college students, and while in custody, they refused to admit that they were wrong for practicing Falun Gong, and because of this, they were subject to beatings and brutality.
We were forced to put our hands over top of our heads and just knelt under the sun, the bathing down from morning to night until we literally collapsed. So one of the female students wanted to call her professor about the experience and arrest. The police beat her up badly, and upon witnessing the beating, one of our fellow students, a young college student, tried to stop it, and he was subjected to beating.
Falun Gong is an advanced practice of Buddhism, and it is based on the qualities of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Falun Gong was founded by Li Hongzhi, and it involves exercises that cultivates the body. However, in 1999, the Chinese government banned Falun Gong and began a violent persecution campaign.
Communist Party began persecution in Falun Gong, and they made big lies in the media. You know, the media in China is controlled by the government, claiming that people who pick on the practice Falun Gong would commit suicide, would set themselves on fire, the self-immolation.
In the book State Organs Transplant Abuse in China, David Mathis, the editor, said that the former leader of China's Communist Party feared that the popularity of Falun Gong would threaten the party's ideological supremacy.
I believe that the Chinese government decided to persecute Falun Gong, even though its own people got a great deal benefit from the practice of Falun Gong.
After I practiced Falun Gong, in a very short time, my health condition come back to normal very, very fast and very soon. So my life is very happy and peaceful.
In the United States, where there is freedom of religion, a student at the University of Pittsburgh said that before leaving China, the Ministry of State Security warned her not to practice Falun Gong while in the U.S.
They're telling me that even though you are overseas, that doesn't mean that you are out of the eyes of the Communist Party, because they have spies overseas to keep a watchful eye of any descendants against the government. So I was really afraid of resume to practice Falun Gong again in public. I didn't have the courage to participate in group fast studies and do exercises in park, just because I was afraid that some spies would see me and report to the government in China.
Despite the persecutions, Jin, being generous and wanting to give out information about the good of Falun Gong, generated another arrest. This time, under interrogation and coercion, she tried to decide whether she was right or wrong for practicing her belief.
So the next day, under the bathing sun, I was forced to stand right in front of a wall with my both arms up in the air, my head bent down for a whole day, like that. Found myself losing. I just got confused because of doing that in this position for such a long time. But I still did not want to admit I did anything wrong. I also refused to do hard labor in prison.
Many claim that this persecution is still taking place in China today, and the website for the Stop Organ Harvesting in China campaign reported that for years, thousands of Falun Gong practitioners have been murdered and mutilated for their organs, which are sold for enormous profits.
I think that all practitioners who were illegally detained ran the risks of being subject to forced organ harvesting, because when organ harvesting happens, you have to have a match. And so myself included, many Falun Gong practitioners were subject to physical exams and blood tests.
This report, released by the Stop Organ Harvesting campaign, shows that organ transplant is on the rise in China. In the United States and other countries, it can take years for a donor to be found for an organ transplant. In China, doctors say that an organ transplant can take place within a matter of days and even weeks. So where are these organs coming from? In Dr. Jian Xiaozu's testimony for the Congressional Executive Commission on China, he said that independent lines of investigation using different methodologies from each other have reached the same conclusion. Organs are being harvested from living prisoners.
They kill innocent people, including Falun Gong practitioner, for the organ. So I feel very strong responsibility to tell the people. So bring the awareness to the whole world. I know China tried to cover this crime by all means. So keep the whole world silent.
Many Falun Gong practitioners in the United States feel that they should not be pressured and told not to practice their principles. After all, in the US, they have the freedom to promote their practice.
Freedom to believe is everybody's right. Freedom to live is also everybody's right. We should respect each other's right to live.
Min came to the United States in 2009, and she is experiencing the freedom of practicing Falun Gong without the fear of facing turbulence and torture. She believes that more people should come together to help end this bold and cold bloody harvest in China. Reporting for Point Park News Service, I'm DeAndre Williamson.